Buck by Mark Pantoja. I didn't actually see the bull come out of the water. I was in the Jeep, filling out chain of custody forms for the samples Piper was collecting from the little lake. Allie was snoring softly behind the steering wheel. Miri and Lex were in the other Jeep, on the far side of the little blackened hill past the lake, making sure nothing flanked us. Sandy was 10, maybe 20 yards from the water, automatic rifle resting on her hip, keeping an eye for Xenos. That's when Piper started screaming. By the time I looked up, Piper was already tangled in the bull's feeding branches. It stood 2 stories high against the dusk sky, water pouring through its black-skinned tubular body, down its piston legs. Piper fired wild. The air, the ground, the beast, the Jeep. I jumped from the passenger seat, clear of his fire, and was struck by the stench of rotten eggs wafting from the bull as it barreled down on the Jeep. The world spun, and everything went dull, muted. I heard muffled thumps and looked up at the creature speeding over me. I don't remember falling. I thought about shooting, but everything was so heavy. For a moment, all was calm, and I remembered, when you stopped smelling them, you're being poisoned. I grabbed the breather at my belt and took a deep drag of oxygen. Sound rushed back, yelling, the other Jeep engine roaring, the bull's horn blasts dwindling. Sandy yanked me to my feet. "Where's Allie?" she screamed in my face. "What?" "Allie, where is she?" "She's..." But the Jeep wasn't there. It lay 100 feet away on its side, white paint smeared with black, sooty mud, tossed aside by the beast. My senses returned, and I followed Sandy to the crumpled Jeep, where Allie hung half out of the vehicle, tangled in her seatbelt, twisted like a rag around the lip of the door. Sandy gingerly cradled Allie's head. The beast blew its horn, a thick, dull note. When it crested the blackened hill, I think I saw Piper against the evening sky. He'd just been getting a few water samples. It'd been my turn, but I was being lazy and made him do it. Could have been me in those branches. Should have been me. The beast was gone, but what if there was another in the water? I cradled my rifle, my hands slick with fear. "Doc!" Sandy yelled at me. "Help me!" She was trying to pull Allie from the wreck. She was broken, blood and bones poking out from her fatigues, but she breathed, ragged but consistent. Her eyes fluttered and she moaned. She mumbled a name, I think, Dan. That was her husband's name, from before. "Shh, baby," Sandy said, trying to get a better angle to lift her out. She pulled a knife from her pack and cut the seatbelt. Allie gasped and then bit down with an audible chomp. I think she shit herself. It smelled like she had. My stomach rolled, and every time I swallowed, my throat would catch. She started jerking, bucking, and then stopped just as quick. Her eyes glazed over. "Doc," Sandy said. "Climb up top and lift her shoulders. Doc!" I took a quick look back at the lake to see if the sloshing little waves would reveal another Xeno bull. Nothing. I turned and climbed atop the fallen Jeep. I kept glancing back at the water. Lex and Miri came around in the other Jeep. It took us about 10 minutes to get Allie out. By then she was cold, unmoving. I felt for a pulse, but found none. I'm not that kind of doctor anyway. I'm not a doctor at all. I got the name because I work for ecology. Sandy tried mouth to mouth. She beat on Allie's chest for a full minute. Blood bubbled out the sides of Allie's mouth. She was gone. Sandy stopped. We stood over the body, staring. No one spoke. I had barely known Allie. I had cried enough for others I lost. For a stranger, like Allie, I just felt, well, glad I got out of the Jeep. Giddy almost, that I'd been that close to a bull. They were horrible creatures, but gorgeous in a way. They'd been carved by evolution into a perfect, infectious life form, hopping from planet to planet and outcompeting native life. It was hard not to admire them. The others wouldn't understand. Even I don't, but Piper did. I wasn't ready to think about him, though. "Lex, Miri," Sandy said. Salvage what you can from the Jeep. Gas, ammo, water, anything. Doc and I will bury her. Bury her? Miri said. Why aren't we taking her back with us? We're not going back, Sandy said. We're gonna kill that fucker.